Hello and welcome to the Three Quarter Slot Podcast. I am your host, Sean Kernahan. And as we do each week, we'll break down all the happenings across the baseball prospect world, from high school to college, all the way into the pros and up to the major league debuts. This week, we're going to have a little bit of a different podcast, a little bit different format. We're still going to go through innings 1 through 9, still going to do recaps, previews, all that good stuff. But if you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, the video will not be clips. We are going to go ahead and run through a 20-round MLB mock draft through the three-quarter slot mock draft simulator that dropped this week. I want to go ahead and kind of show you how it works and talk through a mock draft along the way. So to get started, what we're going to go ahead and do is pick the team that we are going to draft as. And let's go ahead and spin that wheel. Looks like we will be picking as the Detroit Tigers. All right. So with Detroit, what we would do here is go to threequarterslot.com. Let me get that pulled up here for you. Threequarterslot.com. Here in the draft tools, you'll find our ranking lists, our draft guide, and the mock draft simulator. Go ahead and pick this one. We're going to do 20 rounds. Detroit Tigers are selecting 22 this year. And go ahead and click draft, and we will get started. Now, while the computer is on the clock, we'll go ahead and go through the traditional stuff in the first inning, kind of what was happening this week. Two big pieces of news. Cam Flukey, he came back from his injury and looked solid in his return for Coastal Carolina. Travis Bazzana made his MLB debut on Tuesday night with the Guardians, the number 1 pick in the 2024 MLB draft. As you can see here, we are on the clock. With Detroit, top couple of players available: James Clark, Blake Bowen, Jerry Grinlinger. If you are ever in here and you're trying to figure out who the best pick for you is going to be, you're not really sure, you're between a couple of people, you always go ahead and click the report button. What that will do, if with this screen sharing here, it only shows that one screen. So let me switch this over for you. If you are watching, it will shoot you straight on over to our full reports. So you can go ahead and read up on those players if you are between a couple guys. But here in this one, I'm going to go ahead and select James Clark, the high school shortstop out of St. John Bosco. Had an incredible fall. There's some questions about his ability to stick at shortstop, but I think that's good value there at 22. And that'll continue on as we continue on to the second inning. The amateur game that we went ahead and previewed last week was Texas A&M against Florida on Friday night. Florida really controlled this game, ended up winning 9-2. A&M ended up using seven different pitchers. Sdao got the start. They still only made it through 3 2/3. Gave up 8 hits, 3 runs. Fastball sitting 90-95. Curveball looked good when he was on. 76-80, really good depth, but he did struggle to stay on top of it at times. Would just really miss it high arm side. He had a good sweeping slider, 81-86. Just that difficult, inconsistent execution was that there. We're back on the clock here with the Tigers in round 2, pick 62. Top player on the board right now is Brady Harris, Rocco Maniscalco, a couple of high school guys up the middle. But we go ahead and go with some college players. Give them an arm. Wes Mendez is who I'm going to select here, the Friday night guy for Florida State. Give them another pitcher in that system. Moving back over to the game from this week. On the bump for Florida was Aidan King. He went 8 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts. Fastball sat 91-96. kind of merged between a slider and a cutter. The slider depth was sitting around 83, 86. Cutter, 87, 88. A good changeup, 85 to 87. Really controlled the game, filled up the zone well. Billy Barlow with the ninth inning to close out the game. Offensively, the star in that one was Gavin Grahovac. He had a big home run. That power really did show up. Meanwhile, we're in the competitive balance round B here in our mock draft. Detroit Tigers back on the board at pick number 70. Blake Bryant, Jared Avancula, before the top players on the board. Give the Tigers some power. Corner outfielder / first baseman. Henry Ford, currently at Tennessee, is who I'm going to go ahead and pick for them. Every once in a while, when I'm still debugging this one, you'll see like that. It'll shoot you down a little bit. I am working on fixing that scrolling. If that ever does happen, just scroll right back on up and you're good to go. Back to that Florida Texas A&M game. One note I wanted to kind of point out and discuss here. The shortstops for both teams, Boston Kellner for Texas A&M, Brendan Lawson for Florida. Lawson, of course, is the top position prospect in next year's class. Boston Kellner, currently a freshman. I do believe he is draft eligible as a sophomore. Both of them did commit errors in the game. Both of them do have real concerns and questions about their ability to stick at shortstop long term. That was his 10th error of the year. I think that eventually he does move back to third base. I don't think it really hurts his value or candidacy as a potential 1-1, or at least the top position prospect off the board next year. But it is something worth keeping an eye on. He's got solid actions there at shortstop. I just don't really trust the overall defensive package at that position. Tigers back on the clock. We've got them in round 4. I do believe they do not have a third round pick. Sitting on the board here, we got Trey Ebel, the son of Dino Ebel, and brother. His brother got drafted by the Brewers last year. Carson Bailey, the top JUCO arm. You see Camden Johnson is in here. He big third baseman. Sorry, I was thinking Cam Johnson, the pitcher. This is Camden Johnson, the third baseman for Oklahoma. Alex Weingartner. We'll go ahead and talk about him a little bit later today. Let's go ahead and give them a big arm though. R.J. Cope, first baseman / left-handed pitcher. 6'8" lefty, massive power at the plate, good fastball, good breaking stuff. We're going to go ahead and choose him for the Tigers here. Moving on to the third. The amateur preview for this week, I'm going to be locked into Ole Miss against Arkansas. I'm going to be focusing in on the Cade Townsend, Cole Gibler matchup, most likely. That is on Saturday. Cade Townsend is a guy that I simply haven't watched enough of in terms of the rise that he has seen in this year. So looking forward to watching him against a really good offense there in Arkansas. His fastball, sits mid-90s, goes to 98. Got a cutter, slider, curveball. There's some sweep there. He's got a split changeup. I mean, it's just a big, deep arsenal. Spin driven, although he does get up to 98. He's got the first round upside. He's really improved his strikes this year. So really looking forward to seeing him diving deeper into him this week. Cole Gibler, a lefty fastball up to 97, a low 80 slider with 2-point depth, a true plus pitch, and a good changeup. Athletic mover. He repeats his delivery well, but I really think that his future is probably in the bullpen, where he was with Arkansas in the College World Series last year. I think that may be his long-term role, but there's definitely still some projection available to be a long-term starter. But the inconsistency with some of the delivery and the effort there, I think ultimately leads to a reliever profile. With that, Tigers are back on the clock in the 5th round here as you're watching along. It looks like a bunch of high school players are top of the board. We're here in the 5th round. I'm going to go ahead and keep it somewhat more realistic in the aspect of who's going to be selected. This is the round that typically beat college guys. Ethan Serwick of Florida, listed at third base outfield here. I think his future's more at first base, but I like the power out of his bat, and that is who I'm going to pick for the Tigers. Now, if you are drafting, you will notice at certain times there are high school players that will fall off the board, and I'll explain that a little bit when we get to the 11th round. Back to the Ole Miss Arkansas matchup. Two bats to really watch for Ole Miss. We're going to be both 2027s. You've got Hayden Federico and Owen Pano, a couple of really good 27s. Arkansas, they've got Carson Brumbaugh at 2028, and a handful of guys that should be selected here in 2026. Cam Kojal, Kahui Aloy, Micah New, Ryder Helfrich, TJ Pompey. So again, a really good lineup. Looking forward to see what Cade Townsend there. As we are here in the 6th round for the mock draft that we are running through, I'm going to go ahead and start to take some of the college seniors. One of my favorites is Lorenzo Carrier. Has really been rising. I liked him at Miami. Big power. Showing really well with Pittsburgh. I'm going to go ahead and add Lorenzo Carrier to the board here in the 6th round for the Tigers. With that, we'll move on to our 4th inning. The recap of the Bradenton-Clearwater matchup over the weekend. Single A matchup between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia affiliates. Bradenton ended up winning the game 3-0. Clearwater managed just a single hit. It was a chopper to third base that got through. Honestly, it really could have been. In the moment, I thought it should have been an error, and that proved to be the only hit that Clearwater was able to put together. Back here to the Tigers pick in the 7th. Looking at the top players, again, there's a bunch of high school guys. Alex Sosa, catcher from Miami, is an interesting one. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and give them a senior pitcher. Looking through here. Hunter Elliott is still on the board. Speaking of Ole Miss that we just talked about, he is a senior lefty for Ole Miss. I'll go ahead and give them Hunter Elliott here. Back to that Bradenton-Clearwater matchup. Seth Hernandez was on the bump. He went 5 innings. Gave up 1 hit, 2 walks, struck out 9. His ERA is now down to 0.53. Absolutely dominating this year. His fastball is 95-98. Changeup, filthy as ever. One of the best pitchers in minor league baseball. He was sitting 82-84. It actually happened to be the one hit he gave up was on that changeup, that little chopper. His curveball, 79-81. Slider, 87-91. Just a dominant outing, as always. And that changeup again might be the best pitch in the lineup. With that, the Tigers are back on the clock. Going to stick with the senior approach. You'll see here, Reese Chapman is NR, not ranked. He's not in our top 500, but I like him as a senior sign in this spot. Back to the recap. Ryan Walters was the starter for Clearwater. Last minute change there based on what had been projected and what we had previewed. Brian Walters, though, 3 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Bunch of deuces there. Fastball 94-97, cutter 85-89, slider 82-85, kind of merged between those two shapes there. I still see him long-term as a reliever, as he was with University of Miami. I do think that is his ultimate where he ends up there. I am glad to see my Philadelphia giving the Phillies giving him a chance at the starter role, but I think ultimately he finds himself back into a bullpen. Defensively, the star of the game that was Aidan King Jr. had an absolutely massive home run in that ball game, and in a matchup that the uh, Braden didn't score. That solo home run was enough to win it anyway. They, of course, scored 3 runs, but that was just a massive home run. With that, before we move on to the 5th inning and previewing the pro side of things, we have got the Tigers up in round 9. Again, I'm going to stick to the senior sign approach. Looking here, I was going to see if Carson Bone is available. He is not. So I'm going to go ahead and look before. There he is, Zach Stewart. I did not do this intentionally, but we drafted an Ole Miss, now in Arkansas. Zach Stewart, Arkansas outfielder, transferred over from, I believe it was Missouri State, where he had big-time power, and I like him as a senior sign here. The pro game that I want to preview for this week that I'll be locking into is going to be Sunday, 5 o'clock Eastern Time. You have Biloxi with the AA affiliate of the Milwaukee Brewers against Pensacola, AA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. Miami's Pensacola team has not announced their starter, but Biloxi looks like it's going to be Bishop Letson on the bump for that. Before I tell you about Bishop Letson, we've got the Tigers with their final pick in the first 10 rounds. So my final pick of college seniors, I like Aiden Weaver out of Duke as a quality senior arm there. So as we roll there, jump back up, Stetson Letson. Arsenal, he's got a fastball, slider, cutter. He's got a changeup. It really does need to develop. 2 big things, he's had some injury history in the past. If he's going to meet that mid-rotation upside, he's really got to, 1, stay healthy. 2, get that changeup to really come along so that he can be effective against both righties and lefties. As of right now, though, I think he's ultimately in the bullpen, but plenty of chances to be a rotation guy. There's just, you'll be interested to see how he faces there. Currently, his ERA is up above 7 this season. Obviously not where he wants it to be, and could be fun to see how he throws. Now, before I go into the bats in this matchup, we are into the 11th round. If you see here, next to Matt Panetoski, you can see this DNF, draft and follows, what that stands for. I mentioned earlier the different thresholds of the draft. There will be high school players that become unavailable to you in the top 10 rounds. This is to kind of mimic the realism of the MLB draft, and a high school player that is basically informing teams he is heading to campus. If you are in here and you go ahead and scroll down past top 500, you will see all those high school players who are listed as DNFs, drafts and follows. They become available again in the 11th round. The reason they're available in the 11th round, of course, is going to be that not signing them doesn't impact the signing pool at all. So I have them in here, so you can go ahead and pick them. I'm going to go ahead and pick Landon Tome, the top draft and follow available here. You'll get this pop-up for mock draft purposes. Landon Tome is designated as likely to hit the campus. Teams occasionally draft these players speculatively, and you can go ahead and draft him anyway. These guys, as we get closer to the draft and we get a better sense of who is going to be heading to campus and who isn't, I will have that updated appropriately in the metrics, but of course we're still pretty early on, so that is a bit more of a randomized aspect. But that has been added to this mock draft simulator in order to kind of add some of that realism. Back to the Biloxi-Pensacola preview. The big bats for Biloxi, Jesus Mate, he's number 1 prospect, not in the big leagues right now. I think that's fair to say. He with Connor Griffin and McGonigal, both at big leagues. Made or Leo DeVries, kind of the argument for the two top prospects. Not in the big leagues. He's had just last night, as I'm recording this on Wednesday, he had the first infield throw of the year at any level, over 100 miles an hour. The guy's got just a ridiculous arm, excellent bat. Fun to watch him. Blake Burke, the powerful bat there with Biloxi. Meanwhile, Pensacola, Dylan Lewis, he's part of the off-season deal, sending Ryan Weathers to New York. They've also got Christian Hernandez, Brendan Jones, and Fenwick Trimble as potential bats in that lineup that are currently on the MLB top 30. Before we move into the high school board and a refresh over there, we are back on the clock. I'm going to go ahead and pick Tyler Fay here for the Tigers in the 12th round. Tyler Fay at Alabama recently had that no-hitter for Alabama. Quality arm there, and a guy who slides a little bit, but like him getting to us there at the 12th round. Now, doing a refresh of the high school board, the arm I want to talk about, I've talked about him before. I went out and saw Ethan Watchman again this last week. I had a picture of Grandview, Colorado here, in Grandview High School here in Colorado. I was there. There was about 30 area and cross-checkers, area scouts and cross-checkers. His velo was a little bit below the first time I saw him, where he was sitting 95, 96. Here he sat 93, 95. He did touch 99 on the day. The fastball, it just wasn't his best fastball of the year. That said, his best pitch was easily his curveball. It was absolutely nasty, plenty of depth, sharp. He threw it in every count. He gave up one hit on the game. That hit was just a number that maybe traveled 30 feet. So this comes 1 week after giving it, throwing a complete game no-hitter. So in his last two outings, he's given up one hit, and that traveled all of maybe 30. Still performed. I think that the value, I don't think really got hurt in this outing. Again, the fastball wasn't quite as sharp and as big as I've seen in the past, but the curveball was the best I've seen. And I think those scouts who were there have seen the fastball in the past. It was good to see his curveball really snapping off that. Before we move on to the high school bat, we'll go ahead and make the 13th round pick for the Detroit Tigers. I was kind of hoping to see Rentaro Sasaki slide back to me. He didn't. He goes 36 to the Twins. Shout out here, another Colorado arm, Gunnar Garrison goes just before me, the Cleveland Guardians. So I am going to go with somebody who is, I don't think ends up at 499 on our board when we do our 650 before the draft. New Contreras, he has really turned it around in recent games. I like him here in the 13th round. Also a college senior. So the bat I want to focus on this week in the high school level, Alex Weingartner, outfielder, St. Augustine Prep in New Jersey. He was the Prep Baseball National Player of the Week. He went 9 for 11, 2 home runs. On the mound, he also threw 5 shutout innings with 11 Ks. I've actually got a full write-up coming out for him next week on the 5th of May. He's got 5-tool upside, explosive runner. He set the Super 60 record with a 6.24 60 at the Super 60 this winter. Strong arm, which it shows with his 90-94 on the mound. Good tight swing, a little bit of stiffness, but there's good strength at the contact, and he really does some damage when he lifts up. Shooting back over to the draft, round 14. Our top 500 players are all drafted now. We've just got drafts and follows and our non-ranked. I'm going to go ahead and grab a high school guy. I'm going to grab Javorsky Lane. This is, Javorsky Lane Jr. For those of you of a certain generation like myself, his dad was an absolute beast of a running back at Texas A&M. He is, George Gillian Jr. is a really quality athletic player. Catcher, outfielder, does not have the same thick frame as his dad, but there's still plenty of strength. I like Jaworski Lane. But jumping back over to our boards, moving to the seventh inning with the college board. I want to feature today is going to be Grant Govil from the right-handed pitcher at USC. This last week, he went 8 innings pitched, 2 hits, 8 runs, no walks. Fastball 91, 93, like his counterpart with Mason Edwards. It doesn't have the biggest fastball, but it is certainly effective. He's a strike thrower with numerous looks. He's got that fastball, curveball, changeup, cutter. Well-rounded mix, really good command and sequencing. Meanwhile, the arm I want to pick, and as I make a selection here with the Tigers, give them another draft and follow in Isaiah Hearn. The college bat, Omar Cerner Jr., catcher at LSU. He went 8 for 14, 2 doubles, 3 home runs this last weekend. Really got plus raw power, big exit velocities, drives the ball to all fields, a cannon of an arm, nearing double plus, pop times in the 1.9s. He's got the one knee in a way that does hurt his lateral mobility some, but I think he's going to be a long-term catcher. There will be natural comps to a Gary Sanchez because, frankly, when you watch him, there's a lot of Gary Sanchez in his game. I think the upside is bigger than Gary Sanchez for sure. But remember when Gary Sanchez was coming up, he was a massive prospect, and I see Omar Cerner much in that same way. And just with the swing, with the cannon of an arm, there's going to be natural Gary Sanchez. Jumping back over to the draft again, I'm going to go ahead and make sure we don't do any more draft and follows. And I'm going to select one of my favorite players in the draft. I've talked about him before, Chase Massey, Regis Jesuit here in Colorado. He's a guy I just don't think is getting enough attention, so I'm going to go ahead and give him some attention here and draft him in the 16th round for the Tigers. My pro board, Jerron Watts-Brown, right-handed pitcher in the Baltimore Orioles organization, currently at high A. He's got 13 2/3 inning pitch this year, ERA of 0.66, whip of 0.59. He's got 19 strikeouts, fastball in the mid-90s, curveball, kick change, his gyro slider that just is definitely a swing and miss pitch. The guy I talked to a little bit his draft year 2023 when he was attended the draft in Seattle, and I was over there. I got to talk to him a little bit. He skinny frame, but good stuff, and it's really coming together for him here early this season. Tigers back on the clock. I'm going to go Elijah Ix from Hawaii, a quality shortstop, maybe an outfielder in the future, but that's the pick there in the 17th round. While I shoot back over to the pro board, where I'm going to go ahead and talk about A.J. Ewing, outfielder, second baseman for the New York Mets. He was recently promoted to AAA. He's a patient, advanced approach, really works counts, takes walks, smooth, compact swing, line drive oriented, uses the whole field. Doesn't have a ton of power, probably 40, 45, on a good day. Got, average power. The carrying tool really is going to be that double plus speed. He's got a ton of stolen base potential. I think that center field may be his best long-term role, but really is going to be the table setter type guy. Back over to the draft as we hit the 9th inning. Want to talk about, as you've seen in this in the ranks, we do have the top 500 board out and available, and that is what is driving the rankings here in our mock draft simulator. But as we go ahead and move towards the end of this draft and this podcast, let's go ahead and finish up the draft. We are in the 18th round. I want to go ahead and make sure let's grab a college pitcher. Let's see who stands out here for us as I'm scrolling through. You know what? I want to go ahead and add a left-handed pitcher. So we can go ahead and set the position up here to left-handed pitcher. That helps. There we go. Luke Harrison, Texas. Guy who used to be the Saturday guy. He's moved into the Sunday role, looks like, over there in Texas, and a quality veteran arm there. Now, if you're in a spot like this and we're running low on time and we want to go ahead and get towards the end, you can always click sim to my pick. It'll jump straight up to your next pick. There we go. I'm going to give them a right-handed pitcher this time. I'm going to stick on the college side of things. Let's see who is standing out for me here. Scrolling through. Let's give him Zach Cowan out of LSU. Sim out to the final round. Let's give them a catcher. I think I've only picked one catcher so far. Let's give him another college catcher. You know what? No, let's go ahead and go draft and follow. Let's give him a high school catcher. Let's go ahead and grab Dylan Moss in that 20th round to wrap it up. So with our mock draft simulator, again, you can pick 1, 5, 10, or 20 rounds. As this comes to an end with pick 614, it will shoot us straight on over here to our recap. So to recap our draft, we've got James Clark in the first round. Round 2, we took Wes Mendez out of Florida State. Henry Ford out of Tennessee in the competitive balance round B. Round 4, they don't have a third round pick. We took R.J. Cope out of Georgia Premier Academy in Georgia. Ethan Surowick in round 5. Then we went college seniors 6 through 10 with Lorenzo Carrier, Hunter Elliott, Reese Chapman, Zach Stewart, and Aiden Weaver. Took our first draft and follow with Landon Tomei in the 11th. Tyler Fay, a quality college pitcher there at Alabama in round 12. New Contradas in round 13. We went back-to-back draft and follows with Jaworski Lane Jr. and Isaiah Hearn. Before grabbing one of my favorite players, Chase Massey. Elijah Ix came out of Hawaii. Luke Harrison and Zach Cowan to go ahead and give a lefty and a righty. And we wrapped up the draft with the Dylan Moss as a draft and follow. As you get in here, you can go ahead and pick whichever round it is you want to take a look at and see who went in that given round. Or if you just want to see a certain team, who did the White Sox add beyond Rock Chalowski, you can go ahead and see who they pick here and see all of those. Please go ahead, click in here to generate that scorecard. Come on down here, click copy of the card, share it out on X. I'm going to go ahead and share this right now. To show who I went ahead and picked, this will be out there. But thank you again for tuning in to the 3/4 slot podcast. Please get in here, do the mock drafts, share your picks, tag us in it, ask our opinion. We'll take a look at those. Love and seeing the ones that have come through already. Take a look at our draft guide that is available now, or at least it is on the pre-sale now. And with that, we are going to wrap up the 3/4 slot podcast, and we're back again next week.